everyone. Welcome back to Pardon the Distraction. I'm one of your hosts, DJBLUEPDX, here with special guests, CupofRobots and Kickassjamas, along with your other co-host, Mr. Fister. It's TheLostDrake.
Hello.
Welcome to comic books, movies, and more. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey.
It's a Marvel segment. Comic books.
We've had to do to get this show going today.
Yes. It's been a good adventure, I'm not going to lie.
Good freaking Lord.
But now we can be uncontained and we can talk about all things and stuff and things.
Right. We've had to stop like 17 conversations. We're like, wait, we need to do this while it's on screen because that's even better.
And we won't say the trigger word Comcast. Well, I said it, but we're not going to get into that.
There you go.
No, sorry.
Fuck you say to me, you little shit.
All right,
Sorry.
there we go.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and start by giving you a quick rundown of what's going to happen. Today is one of our monthly shows with our regular recurring special guests, CupofRobots and Kickassjamas, where TheLostDrake and I build out a great conversation about all things involving comic books, the battles between Marvel and DC, what's coming up in film, films we've seen, films you should see, and in some cases, like today, potential spoilers. Towards the end of our show, we will have a topic about Spiderman, No Way Home.
Wow.
Spider-Man No Way Home.
Wow.
There will be spoilers being discussed there, so we will let you know before we get into that part of the discussion so you can either go see the film, get it taken care of.
Basically what we're saying is
you understand what we're talking about.
get your
But
shit
also,
together. Go watch it.
Catch up. Go
Yeah.
to a late night showing where there's nobody there.
Look, everybody has a 2-week grace period, and then spoilers don't fucking count anymore. If you don't watch a Marvel movie on the first day, you're a fucking fraud. And stay all the way through the credits. Who leaves? God damn it.
Oh,
You piss your pants.
Yeah.
You piss your pants.
We'll talk again. We're going to
Yes.
talk about that at the end of the show. So just
I'm
stick
not-
around. We'll get to that. So
It doesn't matter any Marvel movie, though. Don't leave. Credits. You should know better.
Yeah.
First of all, I want to point out that Drake, you have 2 gauntlets.
Yes.
2.
Yes.
One with light up, one without.
Yes.
You basically are dual Thanos.
Yes.
So you can snap him in and out of existence and just start causing just snap, snappity, snappity, snap, snap, jazzity, jazz, jazz the hands, right?
You like the clank?
I mean, he's basically the TVA, right? He's
Yeah.
the
Basically, there we go.
Yeah.
TVA. Who's the nerd?
So let's
Which
start at the
variant am
top
I?
here.
Why I'm here.
So let's start at the top here and introduce our 2 special guests who will be part of this segment every single month. Let's start off with CupofRobots.
CupofRobots. We combined you
That's
together.
our child.
Look, if we combine
CupofRobots?
all of our skills together, we can become Voltron, which
That
is
is
also the
true.
next strain of
Absolutely
COVID.
could.
Yes.
We're on Omicron. We're going to have
variant.
Voltron. Soon we're going to have
And
Power
the giant
Rangers.
chicken will be the
Omicron.
head. And this will be our battle cry.
Are we talking about Cox Communication again?
Galactus Prime.
Still going, okay.
I think that's how I
kind
farted
of,
this morning when I woke up.
So, Cup,
Right.
Cup, let's talk about your background, history, interests, and the things that you love about all things comic books and superheroes and movies. Where do you come from?
Where do I hail from Michigan.
I thought it was
United
Uranus.
States.
Oh, wait.
Come on,
Um and now I live in DC but not the comic book universe because that would be
Yeah,
lazy
not in Marvel,
and
Not
yeah,
properly
that's
written.
Marvel, DC Marvel.
Yeah.
No, I actually the first time I got into comic books was I think the first one that I owned was the Kevin Eastman original Ninja Turtles when they first came out. And I was obsessed. And then I the next one, I didn't do DC or Marvel. I went into Image.
You almost had an
'cause
accent in
I was
there.
born in the late
Really?
70s and I didn't, it took me a little while to get into comic books, which is weird because I was an art student like my entire life. But
Hey, me too.
I went into Image and
Some great stuff in Image, though, man.
Spawn. It was just
Spawn,
at the
dude.
time when Image
Yep.
launched, it was Spawn, The Max, and like 2 other things that I don't remember. But I loved Todd McFarlane's art.
Yep.
And
Yep.
West Coast comics,
And it-
man. You got to love them.
Which,
yeah.
to point out, that original Spawn with John Leguizamo really was so close to being accurate to the comic. In that,
It did follow it pretty
design
It
aspect.
followed,
Yeah.
yeah.
pretty well.
And not to go on a
Um,
tangent, they are remaking it, by the way.
Thank
They
you.
are
Very
remaking
soon.
it.
Right?
Very
Yeah,
soon.
it's
It's
not
actually
soon,
already.
yeah.
They already have everybody
Yeah.
casted and set up, so that is coming out soon. So that'll be really interesting to see what they do
I
with it. 'Cause
wonder how it'll hit with a modern audience, though.
probably much better if you think about it, because back then comic book movies, you were shunned. Because I talk about this all the
Oh, yeah,
time about
sure.
how when we all grew up, well, except you're still young, but still, when we all grew up, if you were a nerd, it was like shunned upon. You were an outcast.
Oh, I got the shit kicked out of me.
Well, yeah,
doing
so
that.
did I. So did I. Like, and it was hard to fit in because if you had glasses and you read comic books and you played with action figures, you were an asshole. Like, nobody, you were the outcast. Nobody wanted to hang out with you. But now, in today's modern society, it's praised. Everybody knows Marvel.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody knows
Right.
DC. I'm like,
If you're
why
not a
couldn't I
fan,
have?
You're weird.
Yeah, like it, and then not only that, there's so many different versions of fans that they hate each other now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's like
Nothing like-
subset.
Like, we didn't even have that option. It was you were a nerd or you're not a nerd.
Blah, blah, blah.
It's
Yeah.
just like video games.
Yeah.
You don't like
But-
Halo 3 multiplayer, you're a fucking terrible person.
Yeah, if you don't
Oh, you are.
like Call of Duty, you're an asshole. Well, guess what they got about it? They suck. Sorry, I digress.
If you don't have V-Bucks,
But
you're not
that's-
my friend.
But I
Um,
like
yeah.
I like having grown up in that era because it makes me appreciate the MCU so much.
Yes.
You know,
Yep.
so much more.
Yeah.
Because we got shit on it. I think the first good comic book movie was not
Blade.
Howard the Duck, first of all, but it was
Blade.
Blade.
I mean, it
And,
was.
It wasn't.
Look,
No,
I
it
loved
wasn't.
Howard the Duck. Don't
Blade-
you knock
Then you
Howard the
have
Duck.
fucking
Duck.
problems.
gave
not only
me
that-
nightmares,
Well,
dude. Howard the Duck was
Howard the Duck
terrifying.
was fucked up, dude.
Dude, it was a duck that banged a chick. I
remember
mean,
that as a child.
it was pretty awesome.
It
All
was
right.
terrifying, and you were terrified of it.
Look,
yeah.
Jones in that movie was fantastic. He was an amazing truck driver.
All I remember is the guy from Laverne and Shirley ended up becoming evil, and it was just a nightmare factory of awful. So
It was Men in Black early, dude. That's all it
Basically,
was.
that's also true. All right, let's introduce our fourth guest real fast. It is Kickassjamas, who hails all the way from the UK. What's up, bud?
Hey man, so we're talking about how we got into comics, right?
Yes.
So I pulled my first book from my shelf. This was the first book I ever owned.
Weapon X?
But fuck it, Weapon X.
I saw
My
it.
dad
All I had to
brought
see
me-
was see the little bit of Logan, and I was
Yeah,
like,
Weapon Blur.
My
There we
dad
go.
brought me Weapon X when I was about 4 because he read comics in the late 70s and
Mhm.
growing up.
back when we were
And
born.
that was around the time X-Men 1 and 2 came out.
Oh yeah,
So like, that
is-
was my
that is
first.
actually.
And Raimi's Spider-Man and all that stuff. So I was like
Yeah.
obsessed for years. So much so that it led me into like my path now and who I am now. It's so much of my identity comes from comics and reading these characters. Like I'm a writer now because I love the stories they gave me.
Yep.
So like the reason I write now is because comic books existed. Without that, I didn't have much growing up. Like my mum was disabled. We had no money. The only thing I had every Wednesday was New Comic Book Day.
"Yep."
So you'd run down and you'd fucking wait for a comic book at W.H. Smith's, and it was a thing, man. But like you said, growing up,
Still
that
tradition
wasn't-
going on to this day, by the way. Free comic book
Yeah,
day.
it's
Mhm.
awesome.
Yep.
But like that growing up led me to sport and writing and all of these things because I was an outcast with it, right? Like you said, you were either a fan or you weren't. It's not like we had subsets back then.
Yep.
But that's so crazy that that's happened in such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Like the early 2000s, it was still weird.
Yep.
I think Iron Man 1 in like 2008 and onwards started it becoming a bit more
Blade.
popularized.
Blade started it.
Yeah, but Blade
Mhm.
didn't make it cool to
It didn't
like
make it cool.
comics.
It didn't make it cool, but it started it.
Made it more serious.
I just want to
I don't think
clarify
anybody-
that.
that.
I don't think Blade was marketed as a comic book movie, though.
No,
It
it was
really
marketed
was.
as
It was more of a
badass
vampire
film.
Vampire film, yeah.
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 And
And that was around the time of like, you know, the action movie spectacle. It was about Wesley Snipes, and it was about
Yep.
like, you know, it was never booked
Demolition
as
Man.
Marvel's
yeah,
character.
Demolition Man
Yeah,
was the first
right.
thing that came to my mind.
It was
yeah.
that whole
Yeah.
thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, everything is
And
Taco Bell.
obviously-
It was a good
Yeah.
The
future.
movie was so bad.
I know. It's
And
but
so,
you go
like,
back
my
and watch it, it
school
still
life-
holds. I love it. I still love it.
It's
I loved it,
wonderful,
like-
but it's like,
I-
oh my
I get-
god.
I get to see Sylvester Stallone naked, and you know, and
Hey, I still want to know how the
There you
3
go.
seashells work.
nobody
Look,
nobody
understand-
understands it.
I
They
think, like,
literally
okay.
designed it to not be answered.
No. I have
No,
the
I don't
answer to
have
that. I have
You
the
don't
answer to it. It's anal chafing. You take and you scoop with the seashell. That's the poops. You just scoop it out. You just got to go edge to edge and just scrape. Okay, that's the way it works. The second seashell, you put water in so you can soothe your scraped butthole, and then you go to the third one, and that's just the smell because it smells like the ocean to make you forget that your butthole hurts.
Yeah.
There is not enough liquor.
Use the
in
other
this
side
right
of the
now.
shelf.
There's
You're welcome.
not enough
That is
liquor in this coffee right now.
look
The
best.
third-
Okay, go. Yeah. Oh God, but the
Go-
best
go.
movie of that era, comic book, in my opinion, because it actually became a comic book and a novel, and still to this day, my favorite movie of all time, Fifth Element.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
1000%.
Interesting call.
It still stands up.
It still stands.
to the test of time. All right,
Good
so
old
let's-
Bruce
so-
Willis with hair.
and of course the
Yeah, which
first
is weird.
Yeah.
the first film in the MCU, which most people don't realize, was not in fact Iron Man. It was in fact the Incredible Hulk.
Which
No.
is unfortunate.
No.
No.
Incredible Hulk is after Iron Man 1.
Well,
Which
it
is why
was yeah.
me and
Well,
Cup are
Iron
here.
Man is the one
Well-
that started the MCU, pretty much. Is
Right,
what they
yeah.
classify
Right.
it as.
We had
John Favreau.
we had a Hulk film that basically got.
Oh, 2003 Hulk?
Are you
Yeah,
talking
That's not
about
MCU at all.
Norman Reedus?
I
Are you talking about the
No.
other one that we will not even speak of?
the
Yeah,
original
not
bad
Hulk.
one?
It's just called Hulk.
It's called Hulk.
and it's arse from
it's-
2003.
What was his name? I always
That's
forget
not
his name. The
MCU,
first
that's
one.
David Banner. Isn't it?
Yeah, David Banner. Yeah,
Yeah.
the one that got
But who-
shunned in
who played-
Tokyo.
yeah, it was pretty bad. The original one.
Yeah.
and that's what was so
Oh, by Ang
bizarre
Lee.
because
Yeah,
Yeah, Ang
What?
Lee. That's it. Ang Lee's Hulk. Yeah.
Yep.
yeah, Ang Lee's Hulk was
which is weird because
questionable
most of his
at
stuff is good.
best. Yeah, it was.
There's some
awkward.
really good ideas in that film that just
Right.
don't just get left behind. Like the angrier he gets, the bigger he gets. It's really cool, but it's just wasted on
That's
the
what happens to
dumbest
me.
plot.
But I will
Yep,
say this,
I
DJ,
bet.
on that topic, okay? Because we're going to be all over the place on
They-
this. Because everybody's
they-
going to be like, oh, how much? But that's just how this is going to happen. So get prepared. If you guys are comic book fans, you're going to love this whole podcast. But
and we do have some. I do have some talking points in case.
yes.
We lose
yes. Bring us back in. But
didn't
yes,
receive those.
yeah,
Anchor us.
yes, all the above. But there are characters
When I'm the anchor.
from
What the fuck is
from
this world coming to?
that Hulk and also the secondary Hulk. I'm just going to call
Yeah.
them Hulk 1 and Hulk 2. That some of those characters made the passover into the MCU. And they're
yeah.
still in it. So a lot of people
Abomination,
yeah.
General Ross.
General Ross.
Yeah,
Yep.
those. Yeah.
And it's the
Abomination.
same actors, in fact.
Same
for that,
actors,
for
yep.
those guys,
Well-
which was
Well,
which
because
was
Incredible
really good.
Hulk is MCU.
But
Incredible.
Eric-
this
Yes.
Hulk 2 is MCU.
Yeah.
Hulk
Yes.
The
1
post
is
credits,
mental.
the post
It's
credit
Iron
scene
Man, yeah.
sets up Iron Man 2.
Yeah,
Yeah, I meant
And
to.
it was-
He
it was
says we're
weird-
putting a team together.
Yes.
and it was weird that Eric Bana played Bruce Banner of all people.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, really strange.
He should have played a giant banana. It would have been much better.
Mm-hmm.
He
Wow.
fits the bill.
Eric,
man.
banana, na, 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 na.
Banana. Or you
but-
could play Fortnite, whatever makes you happy.
Jesus.
Whatever
I,
you're
Yeah,
into.
he could kill him.
Yeah, that's that Master Chief flossing.
I
game.
mean, if necessary,
My mom said it was cool.
sure. Now, so I want to talk about the 2008 film for a second.
Which one?
What?
So,
Which one?
There's a lot.
The Incredible Hulk
Dark
with
Knight
Edward,
was
Edward
great.
Norton. So Edward Norton and Liv Tyler together in 2008 did, in my opinion, a wonderful job. It was a really great, not only representation of what was to be coming with the special effects. I loved the fact that Liv Tyler and him created such a brilliant connection. And you'll notice that when she touches his hand and they're in the cave and it's raining and they're hiding, right? That was pulled into the MCU
Avengers.
with
Yep.
the way she rubs his hand.
Incredible
Yep.
Hulk is
Incredible
MCU
Hulk.
though.
Yep.
Right.
Like
right,
it's
and
still that is canonical, and that's
But-
why that.
I'm
is a thing.
torn, and I am a huge fan of the current Incredible Hulk, but I thought Edward Norton did such a great job.
He should have continued.
I thought he did such a
he
great
didn't
job.
want to.
He didn't want
He
to.
just he knew that it was going to pigeonhole him.
If
into
your heart
one
isn't
role,
in it
and
with
that's
these
it.
characters, it's
So-
not
You
gonna
have to believe in the character in order to manage it, and that's one of the things that I think. And this is my anchor and segue. I think one of the things that has defined the nature and helped frame the success of the MCU by comparison to the DCEU, because you've got a major floor plan that involves extraordinary arcs and so many different extensions that are all being interwoven together by the same team, as opposed to consistently rebooting legions of characters over and over and over again every 8 years, to a point that you've caused a rift not only in the fandom, but DC has caused a problem with their own canon because they can't seem to fit everything in the
Do you
same
mind
universe
if,
because they don't
if I
have
take
one
this
team of people controlling it.
I have an
It's
answer for
very
that,
simple.
actually.
I
Oh, okay.
also have an answer for that.
Well, here's the answer. When Heath Ledger passed away, that's where the DC universe went. Because he
No,
was
I
the
just-
continuation.
I think there's a
Well, I
way
actually am
easier
curious.
scenario here.
Yeah.
They don't have a Kevin Feige, and it's that
Also-
simple.
Yeah.
The simple answer is they wanted one
Yep.
with Zack Snyder, and they lost faith.
Yep.
Because they weren't making Avengers money. Zack had a 8-year plan in front of them, and they got cold feet.
Yep.
You need to believe in a creative. Kevin Feige had an idea in 2007, 2006, when he made Iron Man, of what if this could be more.
Yeah.
Like every comic book reader who's read an origin story would go, "Oh, I'd love to see Wolverine and Daredevil in a book together." They can be in a book together.
Yeah.
So Kevin Feige came along and said, "Look, I believe we can do something." And at the time, they were owned by Paramount,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
Paramount weren't going to take the risk on Avengers 1 and further.
They needed a
But
build up.
Feige always wanted to.
And they even
Right? Yeah,
said in that
Feige-
they said in
is
that
the
first
guy.
meeting too. They said in that first meeting, and I think Kevin Feige even said in the very first meeting, he pitched the multiverse
the multiverse.
the
and
very first day, so
very
that way
first
he
time.
could bring in old films with new ones, and that's also
and make it
why.
more appealing to shareholders.
Well, that's also why look, we're going to jump forward a little bit. We're going to come back because this is how the MCU works because it's all so embedded with one another. The cool thing about the multiverse, right? The difference between DC and the MCU, right? The MCU did the multiverse right. They took forever to introduce it instead of saying, here's all these worlds and all these characters and blah, 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 and you're just like, what the fuck is going on? Because if that's the case, we would have Ryan Reynolds as Green Lantern. Anyway, so
overstimulation, which was
it was way too much.
Sure.
And that's why Green Lantern tanked. It was too much, too soon. They were
It
like,
was
what
too
the hell
much
is
too
this?
soon. They
And
were just like, fuck it.
I mean,
But I
out
feel-
of that movie, we got, Ryan Reynolds and, Blake
Deadpool,
Lively together.
which
So
is
that's awesome. So, but
greatest character that needs to be brought across
Deadpool.
every single thing.
Deadpool.
Yeah,
Well, we'll get into
Deadpool's
that.
Coming to the MCU.
But
We'll come to that.
yeah. So, but the cool thing about this is we were talking about the Hulk movie. There is now rumors, and also I think it was actually just confirmed that Tom Cruise is coming as Iron Man in
Iron
the
Man
MCU.
Doctor Strange.
In Doctor Strange, because he originally was supposed to be casted as Iron Man. He turned down the position because of Mission Impossible, and he still to this day kicks himself in the ass. But it has been, I believe, confirmed that he is now coming in as a variant from another multiverse coming in. But now because they have the multiverse, they made everything make sense. All the shit movies now can come back. They can have.
I want Nick Cage's Ghost Rider back, just for a cameo. I don't
Look,
care.
okay,
That'd be
look.
great.
Now you're just being hopeful. But I honestly want. I'm just
think it
gonna
would be
say this
fun,
right
man.
now. I can never remember his name, but the Ghost Rider from the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I want that Ghost Rider back.
Oh, Ronnie.
He was very
Ronnie
good.
Reyes.
He was amazing,
Yeah.
and not only that, it also was diversified cast. They gave it a little bit more oomph to it.
Give me both.
Yeah,
Give me all of it.
yeah,
I mean,
all of them.
Midnight Suns.
Throw them in there. I want Nicolas Cage and
Fuck
him
it,
to
right?
battle because they're both evil, and then they stare at each other's eyes and they just fall over.
See, I don't
Are the
want
cannons
every
Yeah,
movie going forward to be a multiverse movie, though.
I don't
But
either.
it's not gonna be.
It's not
You
gonna be.
know
This
it's
is
not
a
gonna
build-up.
be. You've seen the slate. right?
Basically,
Yeah.
what's going to happen
It's
is
just not gonna be.
they're gonna use this Scarlet Witch, the Quantum Realm, and Doctor Strange's universe to bring in the X-Men. This is the That's the reason what this
That's
is
what
for.
it is.
It's to bring in the
yeah.
X-Men, so it makes sense because they bought out Fox. Now they're coming over here and they're like, hey, we need to figure out a way to all of a sudden just bring these characters in so it makes sense. So it's not just like, hi, here's the Fantastic Four all of a sudden, which they already referenced in Spider-Man, but we're going to get into that later at
John
the end.
Watts is making.
Yeah. There's just so much that they could do with it. And we still technically have already got one X-Men character in the MCU. We'll talk about that too. That was in Black Widow.
We've got a couple.
That
got
was
a
the
couple.
main one. But I mean, technically, Avengers and X-Men, they cross over so much. They've technically all been
Well,
X-Men.
AVX is a great book.
Yeah.
Avengers
I
vs.
was gonna
X-Men
say,
is a phenomenal book.
They did in the comics.
Yeah.
So far, they really
All the time.
haven't
All the
even
time.
touched. They really have. It has been a very limited exposure so far in the films, which gives them so much room to go with. going
Sure.
forward in this new phase of the Avenger films.
But if
since the
anyone
loss of Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark.
If there's anyone I trust with it, it's Feige.
Yeah.
Right.
Right?
And
the
the
man
way
has
that
shown that it's not going to be all multiverse cameos thrown because Cup's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
It's just because that's hot right now, and the next thing is Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
But then we're back to I believe personally we're leading to Secret Wars.
Yeah. Oh
I think
yeah.
that's where we're going.
Or Young
It
Avengers.
makes sense to
Or
go
Young
that way,
Avengers.
right?
Just Young Avengers.
I think we'll have Young Avengers, but we have Kang.
Yeah.
We have Kang,
Which is
in
part of the Young
Conqueror in
Avengers,
the MCU
technically. Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
Like we're going these ways. and
Well,
we're going to these places.
Loki and Sylvie and that whole series with the TVA, which you brought up earlier,
That's what I was just gonna say,
which
is that they've been
CupofRobots said it
pulling-
sounded like a disease or something. I think that's what he said, but I'm just gonna. If not, I put the words in his mouth and it sounds like a disease.
he
You got the
definitely said
TVA.
that. Look at
Like,
that face.
everything
Something
sounds
I would
like.
say.
I would just like to point out that every single comic book nerd who is listening to this show right now has their own half chub right now. This is great.
Look, look. If you don't have
Everybody's
chubs for
nibbling
comic
hard,
books,
and it's great.
look, and we don't care what you like, because we're gonna have our own opinions. You're gonna have
That's
yours,
anything.
and at the end of the day, like you could think that he's crazy for Ghost Rider, which I do, with Nicolas Cage, but. I like this other Ghost Rider. Everybody's going to have a different opinion, no matter what. And, honestly, if we could have the best Ghost Rider, it would be Norman Reedus. Just saying.
It would, but
It honestly,
see now,
yeah.
Which is rumored.
Cage handing that down to readers would be phenomenal.
A great
Love
passover.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be a great
A great
transitional
Passover
element to that
moment.
film.
And then have a
I do
Boondock
wanna
Saints
bring up
reference in there, too.
Johnny Blaze giving it to a new character,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
that would be an interesting way to do that.
That's how you get the 3 shell technique. You get the Johnny Blaze.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what it's
All right,
called.
you get the Johnny Blaze.
Yeah.
I do want to bring up something because we had mentioned something when we were prepping for the show. We started a couple small conversations, and I wanted to bring this back around because I know I'm going to get a lot of shit for it. And here's the truth. Now, granted, am I a massive Marvel fan? Abso-fucking-lutely.
Especially after Spiderman.
However, I'm somebody who was introduced to the universe after having been growing up on DC. I had the opportunity to read some Marvel stuff, but my biological father was a huge DC fan, Superman, Batman. When my first real experience to get locked into comics was Michael Keaton's Batman movie. And that's when I watched the Justice League. I watched the Justice League cartoons as a kid. I remember that. That was great. I remember watching the X-Men cartoons when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Back in the
Which is coming back. It's coming back. They're finishing it, by the way, if you didn't know that, DJ.
Yeah, but late 70s, early 80s was when I first started realizing there's a difference between these two universes and they don't necessarily blend. I hadn't quite caught on to it. And then once I was later on in high school, I had friends who were allowed to buy comics and we were able to go through these processes. And so watching the development, and here's where I want to draw 2 lines of distinction. Marvel, again, Kevin Feige managed to run this whole thing from one standpoint and has a myriad of brilliant advisors and directors and producers who are working together as one cohesive team. We watched as Batman, and let's just roll through the Batmans and start there. We watched as Batman changed Batmans, and it almost became like a legacy of, hey, if you're a biggie in Hollywood, you can play Batman.
Now, when you start with Batman, so first off, Batman and Superman are the most overrated comic book characters, but which Batman are you talking about? The one in the early 70s, 60s? Like, which one are you talking about?
I never saw the Batman TV show until much later in life. I'm talking about the film, the cinematic film with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson was the first Batman film or show I ever saw, okay? Now, I'd also seen all the Christopher Reeve Supermans. Original was like, and they just progressively got worse over time because there was no connective.
Yes,
there was no connective vision from a studio standpoint from DC going, all right, let's make this huge. And at that point in time, it really wasn't a thing. That wasn't something we fathomed because the cinematic development process hadn't been visualized at such a high level like Marvel has managed to pull off. So then we came back with the new ones with Christian Bale and Christopher Nolan. No, Christopher
Chris Nolan.
Chris
Yeah, it was Nolan. Yeah.
So Chris Nolan rolled in, and of course the death. And I will say this: the death of Heath Ledger really broke some things in
Yep.
people. And let's be honest, it was an incredible loss not only to cinema but to the acting realm. But when you start looking forward at Superman Returns with Brandon Routh, was a good attempt. It didn't have any connectivity to the rest of the universes or the way that they were looking to move forward. When you look at what they did with Man of Steel, I thought Man of Steel was a brilliant origin story.
Everybody wants a sequel to that. Everybody.
And I loved that.
Man of Tomorrow, man.
I loved Man of Steel. But then we get into the other Supermans, and it gets so dark so fast. It's like they jumped the gun on creating the environment and attaching you to these characters. And there seems to be it feels like, correct me if I'm wrong, feels like there's a disconnect within the hierarchy and leadership at DC in the extended
There is no
universe.
leadership. That's the problem. There is no leadership.
Walter Hamada
There's
stands at the top.
And Cup and I had a great conversation about this, and I want you to give some insight, Cup, about, because we had this conversation about that observation and the process of what it feels like how these things progress, and why you think that they haven't properly evolved.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think James touched on it a little bit, but it was when, by the time Avengers came out, the original Avengers, DC, Warner Brothers was looking and saying, we want that, but we want it now.
Yeah.
And we don't want to build up all this stuff, because who needs to build up all these characters? We know where they came from. We know where this and the blah, 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 blah. But just because DC characters are technically more known because they have a longer history of movies, doesn't mean that people are invested the same way emotionally in characters, right? So then they just went in and threw something down and said, this looks like a good idea. They didn't lay anything out. They didn't sign anybody to multi-film deals. They didn't do anything.
Yep.
And then they let Josh Whedon fuck it up, because they're like, you know what? Well, Zach has to go because of this horrible tragedy. Let's bring you in because you're great with ensemble casts. But you're a dick and you're going to ruin everything. And nobody wants Justice League by Josh Whedon. Nobody wants a little soft,
yeah.
But, and if Marvel wanted to do something like creating this really way too high stake with a group of characters that nobody's quite familiar with, they would have made something with an overpaid cast and called it Eternals. But that's a whole different topic.
Look, okay. Well, I'm gonna disagree with you on Eternals. A lot of people hate on Eternals, but I love Eternals.
I love Eternals.
Okay, but I'm gonna. But here's the reason why is because I actually knew who the fuck. Well, so here's the thing.
I've read Eternals for years.
So here I'm actually gonna add to what he's saying real quick.
Yeah.
And what DJ pointed out earlier, DC has always focused on the immediate ooh-ah, and not the build, not the long game. And I'm going to compare this same build to two other references, and this will explain it to anybody who understands this. If you liked music, Tupac and Biggie.
Ooh.
If you compare video games, PlayStation and Xbox, they have so different approaches at stuff. They both have fan bases. They both have longevity. They both had this amazing connection with the people that were involved with it. But the problem is with DC is they focus on their heroes. Their heroes are shit. Their villains are amazing. And if they focused on their villains, because they love to go dark. I don't know why DC loves to immediately go dark. I think the only one that was lighthearted and kind of fun was Shazam. Everything else was like dark, desolate, dying, Batman fighting Superman. Let's make it as hard and dark as we possibly can. Let's capitalize on Batman versus Superman, because that was one of the top-selling comic books for DC, even though it sucked. And it was a Lois Lane fucking, she was on stream more than Superman was. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, they just have such a weird combination of putting people together, and they just mash together. Now, if you look at Zack Snyder's cut compared to Josh Whedon,
Yeah, that's what I wanted you to bring up.
Zack Snyder's cut was so much more well done. It was still shit, in my opinion, but it was so much better done. I hated Zack Snyder's cut. But look, and I'm going to tell you why. Not because of what his cinematic was. It's because so many people wanted it and so many people needed it to make the DC universe expand. But now Zack Snyder doesn't even want to be involved with it anymore.
Oh, that's wrong.
But no, he wants to. No. But let me rephrase that. He wants to be a part of it, but he can't be a part of it because WB wants to control everything. When the script comes across the table, they're like, oh, no, let's add one of our big characters in there. And he's like, that doesn't fit with the character scheme or what's going on in the movie. Well, let's throw in this character because it'll bring in people. They're all about this. And that's the difference. That's the difference between longevity, like Xbox and PlayStation. Xbox played the long game. They didn't care about the beginning game. Neither did the MCU. They didn't care. They didn't even think Iron Man was going to succeed at first.
They made an Ant-Man movie profitable.
Like, they made Guardians of the Galaxy. Nobody knew who fucking Guardians of the Galaxy even was. They had no idea. Like, if you were an everyday comic book reader, that was like the bottom of the bin. That was the bottom of the bin. You had no idea.
Made Peacemaker. That's the bottom of the bin.
Well, look,
but like
I don't even want to get in. I will get into that in a second. Jesus Christ.
Like, real quick, I know James has been sitting on it.
Go. Yeah,
go, James.
So you're right. DC have they want the fast pitch. Like, they're doing that with Flash right now. Right, Flash. They're doing Flashpoint immediately because No Way Home was profitable. So they're
be garbage.
DC have been reactionary.
I don't even want to see it.
I will die on my hill that I prefer DC books to Marvel books.
I prefer animated. Animated movies. DC animated is amazing. It's the best.
The nail on the head here.
Yeah.
Like Long Halloween.
Batman Beyond. Can we talk about that? The best fucking series.
Incredible. But they have so many books. There's so many.
DJ's gonna try to hone us back in. I can see it in his face. He's like, stop talking for a second. Okay, sorry. Batman sucks.
You're right. There's been 1,000 Batman on screen that are all very different. But on the page, Batman is Batman.
It's different.
It's so simple.
New 51 was amazing, or New 52 was amazing
too.
Yeah.
But to your point, the best-selling book was Dark Knight Returns because he fights Superman.
Yep.
Zack was, as far as I'm aware, that movie is BVS Dawn of Justice, right? It seemed like Warner Brothers wanted that so quickly that they made Affleck's Batman like 45. He's done.
Yeah.
He's not new. He's not fresh out the box, Batman. This is the guy who will fuck end you if you come near him.
So Cup,
and I'm
actually going to ask Cup a question because Cup's been trying to get a word in because we're just going on a rampage. So Cup, here's my question for you. Out of all of DC, what is your favorite villain and your favorite superhero? Go ahead. DJ's going to say something too, but that's the topic for everyone. For DC, and then we're going to say Marvel too, but go ahead.
Yeah, go Cup.
Oh, it sounds so generic though, because
you can only have one.
I love the Batman Joker relationship. Only because
which one?
Because it's psychological and not physical, right? Every DC hero has a win button, and it's stupid. That's why I don't like DC.
You mean give a character that doesn't have anything wrong with it except a stone? What?
Right. And like, Superman. And it started in the 60s when Superman could fly. Because he wasn't designed to fly. He could just jump really high. And then they were like, that's stupid. And then there's this situation we put him in. We'll just write him out of it by making him fly. And then we'll write him out of it for having laser
lot of Taco
eyes.
Bell.
And then and DC is just written themselves into a corner.
Yeah.
And now all their characters have win buttons.
Yep.
But that's kind of why I've always liked the Batman Joker relationship, is because they're the most grounded characters, I think, in DC. As far as being plausible.
Batman's villains are really good. Like out of all the villains in DC, Batman's villains are the best. Like if you think about the Riddler, Penguin,
Perhaps
like
the best one.
Flash is pretty good too. Like, and even like the TV series, that was okay at start, but then it just went too far off the rails and it sucked.
The first
Well,
season
same
of
with
Flash
Arrow.
is phenomenal.
Arrow was the same way
Flash
too. I
season
loved
1 is
Arrow.
amazing.
I liked Arrow too.
And I mean, they just started WB. I feel like the scripts just kept getting worse and worse.
They just don't get it. They just don't understand it.
Go ahead.
So, two things. One, so just back up, because I was wanting to make a comment about something that you said earlier regarding the difference between the Zack Snyder cut and Joss Whedon, but also I agree, Joss Whedon fucked the whole thing up. When I watched the Joss Whedon Justice League, what I observed was a disconnected story that didn't seem to have enough character development. Things seemed forced. There was an unbalanced focus between characters, and it felt like I mean, it was clear. It felt like they changed directors, producers, and writers in the middle of the show, and that's exactly what fucking happened.
Yeah.
With Zack Snyder's, was Zack Snyder's extraordinarily long? Yes, but Zack Snyder's was the complete vision. We had a complete ensemble of villains and their team. We had a full development of the characters and the way that they were supposed to evolve as they got to know each other, as they started realizing each other's strengths and identifying each other's weaknesses, and then established a relationship in how they were able to counterbalance and utilize that teamwork element to fix the parts of you that weren't quite developed where they needed to be.
Yeah.
When you looked at the lack of confidence with the Flash, when you looked at
they definitely fleshed out Flash and Cyborg more.
Yeah, those two characters are wonderful.
Cyborg's story in that film is so good.
It's good, but they still even did him wrong, to be honest. But that's a whole other story.
Cyborg's a triple A character that got.
Yeah, when you look at Wonder Woman, and the way that her character was celebrated and evolved and grew in the first film. Fuck 1984, I don't want to talk about it. Justice League, okay? The way her character is grown, the way that she expresses fear, the way that she expresses intensity is so much different when directed and shot by Zack Snyder than it ever was with Joss. You see the level of commitment that he was able to go, the depths to which he was able to sink and dive deep into this entire lore in order to pull out these unique nuances to the way the characters are portrayed. And I thought that was brilliant. Was it too long? It was excessively long. Jesus fucking Christ, I'm glad they put it on HBO on 4 spots. As far as to go back to your last question, as far as the relationship between hero and villain, I agree with Cup. I love the relationship between Batman and the Joker, especially in the animated series, because they were so unique. And if it hadn't been for Cup and for James, I would not have watched so much that I watched. I started watching Harley Quinn. Jesus, that cartoon is brutal and hilarious and breathtaking. But when you look at, especially as they changed and went through different actors, different voice actors, the way they portrayed the characters, the way they carried these animated characters, and the way. Are
you talking about the Kelly Coco? That's who it is, right? Kelly Coco.
Yes.
Yeah, that did the new Harley.
Kelly Coco.
Yeah. We said that right? Right? That's her name. Yeah.
For some reason, Kuko.
Kuko.
The one that was on Big Bang Theory. There we go.
Yeah, Kelly Kuko.
So everybody's gonna chastise me in the chat for that one.
Yeah, now you're fired.
Yep. Sorry.
So but as much as I loved, and I do love that relationship between Batman and the Joker, I think the thing that most other combo packs of balance agents don't have is there's a distinct relationship. You can't have the Batman without the Joker, and there's no reason to have the Joker without the Batman. There are times when the Joker goes out of his way to save Batman because he doesn't want to lose him.
He has fun playing with him.
But he wants to play. It is a psychotic game of crazy with him.
Well, that's even like, okay, so I'm gonna reference
that's my answer.
Another genre, right? So where they took.
James hasn't answered.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
You want me to answer?
For DC, yeah.
I mean, it's different, but it's not too different. So I was thinking about the whole time, and I was either going to go for coolest villain, which is Deathstroke, who just doesn't get enough props.
DC's Deadpool, pretty much.
But badass.
But darker.
Like he's
darker.
really serious.
He's dark. He's dark. Yeah.
Was making fun of Deathstroke.
Yeah, exactly.
It
basically, that's why he was made.
But,
Rob Liefeld
really?
made him. Yeah.
Is that why they
yeah,
came out with
it was the West Coast comic to make fun of Deathstroke because Rob Liefeld was like, hey, like, I like Deathstroke, but fuck that guy. That guy sucks.
He's way too serious.
He's too serious.
Sucks,
I need a comedy. And it was so unheard of at that time. So we'll get into Deadpool later because that's my favorite character, but we'll get into that.
But I have to go the opposite way to all of you, and to the dismay of Drake, I think Lex Luthor Superman is one of the best dynamics
good
in
relationship.
DC.
I will
But
say
if you've read the right books, if Lex Luthor, the thing I find interesting about Lex Luthor, and especially Gene Hackman's Lex Luthor,
I haven't seen
he's a
Smallville.
normal guy.
I'm saying it now. Sorry.
I mean, Smallville is one of the reasons I love this relationship.
That's why you love it. I knew that's why you liked him, because Smallville is, everybody who has ever watched that show, I had no interest in it. I didn't when I was a kid. I was like, I had no interest in this. My wife gets on me all the time. She's like, it's garbage. Like, I just didn't want to watch it. And then everybody's like, now as I'm older, like, you need to go back and watch it. It's the greatest show ever. It was the whole reason why DC was good. And I'm like,
look, there's 5 seasons of slow ass Superman burn, but like that's just it worked, right? But I like that relationship on such a grounded level, because Lex Luthor,
I would rather use the 3 seashells.
A human being who has everything a human being could have, right? Money, power, influence, all of that shit, except Superman is more.
So he was a DJ Iron Man. Got it.
Cool. Wow. Yeah, basically. He kind of was.
Oh, I forget there's 2. I mean, we're all bald here, so it's fine, except you. You're still young. You'll get there. You'll get there.
But it's like
the war did this to me. All right, go ahead. Sorry. I mean, it really did. I mean, but okay. Anyway, I digress. We're all Lex Luthors at heart.
Luthor is just, God damn it. Yeah.
Sorry.
Right. But that's the thing.
It's gone out of control.
Well, pardon the distraction. Wow.
Well,
you like it? Like 5 feet over. I can't even speak. Go.
Like and subscribe, people.
Like it for the push the button, the bell and shit. Yeah, there we go.
Lex Luthor wins.
There's my plug.
You're right. The Cup's right. There's a win button inherently built into DC.
Yeah, everything has a win button.
The stories that make Lex win are dynamically made, where he'll either he'll hurt Lois to get to him, because that's his humanity. And he doesn't care that he's doing that. It's similar to the Joker Batman thing, but with way more intellect, and he uses it for influence. And I think that's a genius. When you read the right books, All-Star Superman does that really well.
Yeah.
Small does that really well. It's something the films have struggled with since Gene Hackman.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't had a Lex Luthor who really does. But the line
Michael
of
Rosenbaum,
some people can read,
though.
Yeah, great, but not good enough, right? There's no real.
Well, here's the thing. Like Lex Luthor and all those, like, I mean, I get it. I understand the Joker and the Batman relationship, but I actually have kind of a hybrid for both of you. And what that is the Harley Joker relationship, because she's an anti-hero and Joker is a straight up villain. And the combination between the two, the dynamic, the buildup, the psychological break, where she was a psychiatrist who literally falls in love with a psychopath, that dynamic, there is no better in DC. That is the number one dynamic.
Series, though, right?
I will definitely.
Batman the Animated Series did that to the highest
because it's comedy and it's also about abuse and psychological warfare, and it's like they're so different. But the craziest thing about both of them, they don't have any superpowers. They don't have anything. They're humans.
They're just nuts.
And they fell in a vat of fucking toxic goo, and they got pale skin. That's it.
I like that Harley Quinn was created by the animated series too.
Yeah.
She wasn't actually a comic book character.
Yeah. Yep.
That's great.
Which was a cool way to bring her in. But, you know, and not only that, the voice actors, which even the voice actors have transferred over from Harley to MCU, because you have the TVA, you have Miss Minutes. They're the same voice actor.
Yep.
Which is crazy.
It's
weird. Yeah, it's weird that, and I don't know if you've noticed this flux of new people too, the actors that used to be in DC that are now in the MCU. Amelia Clark just joined with the Secret Wars. I don't know if you guys saw that whole behind the scenes too. Like, there's so many cool stuff that's happening and all these major people. Christian Bale is now a villain in MCU.
He's Gore the God Butcherer.
Yeah, and he is going to be amazing. I just can't get over his bite.
So
He's got that teeth. I can't stand his teeth. Like when he talks, it whistles and it drives me nuts. It's like a tick. When he was Batman, he's like, it's like, what the hell is that? I thought he was going to bite through an apple every time he was talking.
Fucking. So, DJ hates me for, but I don't like the Nolan films. I think the Nolan films.
I hated the first one, loved the second one, hated the third because I hated Bane.
I totally agree with that.
I love
throw a
Batman
man out of a
Begins.
plane for. He sounded like a geriatric patient that was getting kicked out of a wheelchair.
I love Batman Begins.
Why are you taking my wheelchair? That's what he
so
sounded
weird.
like. It was fucking weird. Now,
So
Tom Hardy, another person made it to the MCU jump.
Mhm.
Now he's Venom,
well,
sort of.
and he's
Yeah,
in the
well, he
Sony
is-
verse.
He's still owned by
Yeah,
owned
but
by
he's
Sony,
still
but-
in the MCU now. He's canon now.
Point
Go ahead,
Oh,
one
sorry.
thing out.
spoilers! Hello.
Oh yeah, sorry.
For like 5 minutes.
Well, that was Venom. It wasn't Spider-Man. Well, okay.
Here's the thing,
anyway.
though. Here's a real quick thing, though. If Sony wants to make back the $20 billion they just lost after
They better be
Activision
successful
and
with Spider-Man.
after Activision and
Well,
Blizzard
like in
got
Morbius
sold
movies,
over,
man.
what they need to do is they need to just offer Marvel the entirety of what's left of their MCU catalog
For $70 billion.
and make that $20 billion back.
No, just
There you
offer
go.
for $70 billion and just be like, hey, we'll give you $70 billion back. We just lost it all in Activision and everything else. Like,
So here's Spider-Man, here's Venom. Have fun.
yeah, have fun with everybody again. We're done. We're out.
The
Sorry,
only
you can
thing
have
Disney
some.
won't own is Incredible Hulk.
And Scream.
Yeah, that's
Who
Paramount
owns
stuff.
Incredible Hulk?
Yeah, Paramount.
Paramount still
yeah.
And
owns
they
them.
will not let him go, and that's why there's
That's
never
why.
been a
Hulk,
they only have him for supporting roles.
Yeah, like Planet Hulk
Yeah.
was technically
Which,
Ragnarok.
but it should have been Planet Hulk, though.
I know,
man.
I know.
Yeah.
They did. You know what though?
Hulk.
Still, out of all the MCU movies, I think Ragnarok is still in my top 2. Like I'm back and
really
forth between
like
that and
Ragnarok.
Endgame. Like Ragnarok was just so good. I've watched it so many
My
times.
top 5
Yeah.
changes all the time.
Yeah.
My top 5 is in such flux all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard.
The best theater experience I've had with the MCU was Endgame.
Yeah, and
Undoubtedly.
Endgame was amazing. Infinity War and
Were
Endgame.
you in a
just
theater?
being with groups of people who
Yep.
you can all hear them crying.
Yeah.
You know?
We all cried. If you didn't cry, you're a fucking liar.
Spider-Man, you had a lot of those reactions too.
Oh
But
God, yeah.
we knew everything was
Okay,
coming.
wait. Oh, wait. Actually,
We can't
on
talk
that
about
note-
it yet.
No,
I
we're not.
know.
No. I want to talk about Endgame just really quick. We were all streaming. We were all on Mixer at that time, right?
Yeah.
Did you stream after watching Endgame?
What people
Like
say,
right after you watched it, like
Oh,
opening
not
night.
direct. I don't
you
remember.
Came, do you remember how many people came in chat and was like Tony Stark? Like
Oh,
we had to
no,
actually
just
ban.
destroyed it?
We had to delete Tony Stark as a keyword and ban it
We had to
because
ban-
people were
ban
coming in.
Iron Man.
Yeah.
Ban
Yeah, we had to get rid of
ban
anything that was
ban-
Endgame.
Yeah, there were so
People
many
are
things.
fucking
that
So
horrible,
had to
man.
fucking
ban.
hat.
People
Yeah.
were, yeah.
Yeah, it was bad. But dude, that is the other side of the fandom that I can't fucking stand.
Mhm.
I can't deal with that.
Yeah.
That's
That
like
sucks.
that's like the Mariah
elite
Carey
nerd
of
shit.
the rap world. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
It's
it's like
the
they've got
elite- it's-
events. Yeah.
I don't even know why I
Similar to
combined
the
those
elite
together. but-
nerd shit that
Yeah.
pisses me off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I own this, the gatekeeping, the bullshit, and they want to
Gaslighting,
ruin it for
yeah, all that
everybody
shit, yeah.
because they didn't see it soon enough because they're not cool enough.
Yeah.
And
See, one of the things I love about this conversation right here, right? We got 4 people who clearly have different opinions on stuff. Like Drake doesn't like Superman, but when I said that I love,
Nobody does.
he didn't. Well, I'm better than you, and my opinion's better. Like it's really hard
Oh.
to get 4
Yeah.
together.
I mean,
We
can
are better
casually-
than you.
I mean, look.
Look, we knew.
I mean,
Look. Nicolas Cage was a horrible ghostwriter.
Yeah.
You can go yourself, okay,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah.
And also, Superman is a total piece of. So you
Yeah.
can definitely go
Well, it was fun.
yourself.
It was
Number
fun
one,
coming on your show.
we're older.
Yeah.
Number 2,
We're balder.
you suck. Number 3,
Oh my God.
Superman
All right.
sucks.
What are you, a
And
Gen
number
Z?
4,
I don't even know what the hell you are anymore. What are you?
No, I was
Cancel.
gonna-
Why don't you
I was gonna-
cancel the podcast?
I want to. Jesus Christ! All right, I want to bring it back to something through another thing. we've mentioned some of the possessive elements that CW has shown, and we've watched, especially when you look at how wash, rinse, and repeat Arrow became, and Stephen Amell, such an incredible Green Arrow. When you look at the some of the other CW shows, they brought in his cousin Robbie Amell was Firestorm.
Yep.
And you look at the way that they portrayed these characters, which I thought was good at first, and then of course they wash, rinsed, and repeated it into a complete and total disaster, and then the show ended, and it was just like, we can't do this anymore, this is dumb. And they seem to have this consistent behavior. And we mentioned that sometimes we end up getting great things out of other elements.
Yep.
Sometimes it's through those mistakes that we find that things are developed. And one of the things that we wanted to talk about, and I wanted to make sure we brought up, because it was an important factor of this mashup of people. An example is Harley Quinn ended up becoming a massive part of not just the DCEU and film side of things, but now part of the comic book structure. And is a huge library with her in there because she was so popular as an original on the animated series. So one of the things that James and I've been talking about, and I know all three of you are huge fans of the reading side of this, because there has been a trend lately, especially in the superhero comic book world, as we've seen a decline in the purchase. Now, granted, part of that is the pandemic, but we've seen a decline in viewership, readership, and I would say
digital has gone up, physical has gone down.
Yeah, proper exploration of the lore that is built into the comic books. And I'd love to talk, like, hear each of your let's start at the top and work our way down. About the comic books. Let's talk about your most influential, in your opinion, most influential elements of the comic book genres when it comes to those storylines. Start with Cup. We'll go to James, and then we'll go to Drake. I don't know why I almost called you Luke. Who the fuck is Luke?
I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, look. I mean, Luke Cage? Are we on comic books again? Okay, there we go.
Yeah,
no,
we're just tie it all together.
Not talk about
bunch of
Luke
Lukes.
Look, you know what? You're just mad because he played a horrible counterpart in Halo. You calm down.
Yeah, that's basically I hated Locke.
Who liked him?
But
lock that in a safe and drop it to the bottom of the ocean with Aquaman.
Yeah. All right.
It
So
bought Mike Carter a new house.
Go Cup!
Influential elements in comic book writing, and some of your favorite lores in comic books that have never been put on TV.
That have never been put on
Jesus,
TV?
that is rough.
God, you just were like, how do I make more dead time on this podcast? Like, just dead air. So I'm going to add that last part to this question.
Now we need the Jeopardy theme. That needs to play right now. I have that button. We could play it. You'll think on it? Yeah.
That wasn't.
All right.
That was.
Yeah.
That was a different show.
It's all right. It works. Was that Dateline? What are you putting on our podcast? What is happening right now?
Did I just get us the MC8? I'm so sorry. That's not been on TV or movies. God, that's such a hard question, dude.
I think there's a lot of things that have been underrepresented. Like,
I mean,
Wonder Twins.
there's a lot of
the Wonder Twins. Yeah, I would really like to see
Let's
Wonder
just
Twins.
let's just make a Captain Planet movie. Fuck it.
God damn it.
Like, I remember all the OGs of Justice League, like, and all of those, and the cartoon.
You want Rubber Band Man, don't you?
Late 70s and early 80s.
Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah, there was Mr. Fantastic, and all of those. They've been super underrepresented.
Wasn't Mr. Incredible? Is that the stretchy guy?
Yeah.
There was Mr. Stretchy.
Yep.
There was, and that was Fantastic Four. They had their own cartoon, which was awesome. Okay, let me just.
No, there's a different in the Justice League. At one point, there was
Elastic Man.
Stretchy dude.
It was Elastic Man.
Elastic Man is his name.
Yeah.
I thought it was Mr. It was Mr. something too.
There was Plastic Man. Polka Dot Man. They fucking just named off random shit. It was like Pokemon. They're looking around the room and they're like, oh, Lamp Man. Oh, TV Man.
Who's over here.
Fucking DC, dude. They're the worst at naming characters. Man. Yeah, like, oh, Tissue Box Man. You know what? He pulls tissue out at an incredible rate. Wow. Anyway, sorry.
Mirror Master.
Yeah.
He's dressed as a bat.
Oh, Jesus.
Batman. Oh,
3 She-Shell Man.
Yeah.
He'll wipe your ass before you know what happened.
Characters are definitely the second seashell.
On the crotch, and that's it.
Yes.
That's all he's wearing.
No, but they just clarify it, and then MCU makes it better and calls him Clam Man.
Yeah.
Too much, not enough.
Yeah,
All right.
Oh shit! When DC started, it was a different era.
Yeah, look, you know what? If you want to find the pearl, wait. Oh
God! All right, so go for it. All right.
All right.
Well, lead after that.
I'm gonna go back to Image because it's easy, but the Max from Image I think would be amazing, especially with the way CGI is now.
Ooh, that's a good point.
I think they could do a lot of incredible things with that. Something that I didn't expect to see, that I just saw a couple days ago. Have you guys watched the Injustice animated movie?
Oh yeah, it's fucking amazing.
Yes. No, but I apparently now need to.
It's amazing. It's actually really good.
I was shocked in that we're talking about how evil Joker is, and everything. He is peak evil in this one.
In Injustice,
Like what he makes Superman do is like,
it's
holy
awful.
shit, dude. I won't spoil it for anybody because it just came out on HBO like last week or something. So
okay, I know what I'm
it's
gonna
the
watch.
same plot as the game and the book, but it's really
it's based on the game.
But I never played the game and I never read the book, and I saw it and I was like, first of all, this is kind of
it's gruesome.
Annoying, and then holy shit, it's violent as fuck.
Yeah, it's very
and that was its saving grace. I did not like the end though. It like kind of just stops. And
it should
whatever.
be like a
it was kind of tied up real quick and with a bow.
Yeah, just Superman killing Joker and then everybody going wild because, you know, Lois Lane died and blah, blah, blah. I ruined the whole thing for you. You're welcome. You don't need to watch it now. It's garbage.
But the way people die is really where the spoiler lies, I think.
Yeah.
All right.
I do want to talk about Eternals again. I want to circle back.
Yeah, we're gonna circle back to it.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, here's the thing, guys. We have multiple segments.
Before Spider-Man.
These segments, you know, this is the first of many. We're gonna have so much stuff to talk about. So, you know, and I honestly think too, like anybody who's watching, if you have any topics or if you have anything that you want to talk about, please put it in the comments below, because then we can pick up on it, look into it, or maybe we already know about it and we can talk about it on next week. Because you got to think about all these Marvel shows that are coming out, all the DC shows that are coming out, all the comic books that are coming out. We're gonna have endless amounts of things to talk about, and this year is definitely a very, very heavy MCU driven year. And there is a lot of big movies coming out this year. Huge. So with that, put your comments below. Let us know what you want to talk about too, because then we can actually kind of try not to be a bunch of scattered ass squirrels, and we can actually, you know, answer all your questions and also talk about other topics too, because we are going to circle back to Eternals. We got to talk about Spider-Man before the end of the podcast and try to keep it at a minimal hour, so that way we don't, you know, you guys aren't listening to us for 46 days.
Yeah. All right. So where you were. Go.
What? No, I was done. I said Max.
All right, James, you're next.
Cool. Well, the first thing I would want people to do is actually read the books. I think it helps. Comic books are such an integral part of these films. If you come out of a Spider-Man movie crying your eyes out, maybe pick up a Spider-Man book. I think it's just important.
Good idea.
That people like looking at these things.
I see him shaking his head.
But it's just, I think people should look.
You know what? Look, I saw Cup's reaction right when you said that. And this is actually a really good topic. Okay? Because most people hate reading comic books. They hate it. They don't like reading graphic novels. I grew up doing that because that was my escape from all the fucking jackasses in school. And for getting made fun of for being a nerd, because it was a different environment. Like we definitely talked about. The culture has definitely changed. But one thing I will say to that is how many times I've gone into movie theaters, and DC fans are definitely much more like this because comics have been around a lot more for DC. But I think that comic books in general, they do two things. It's just like people who read books and then go to the movies and expect it to have everything that the book has, and then it ruins the movie experience.
Oh, yeah. No,
you can only fit so much in 2.5 hours, unless you're Endgame and it's 3 hours. I have lost control! Don't you say that. Look,
DJ, shut up for a second.
Yeah, yeah, you're talking way too fucking much. Would you calm down? Look, you know what? Maybe read some comic books, you asshole.
But that's the thing, though, too. Like for me, I don't want the MCU to be the books. I don't want it to follow the same thing because that's boring to me.
So go back on topic so we don't lose complete control, and you can't keep on holding up these makeshift signs because we don't have any good animations because we hate everybody. So over there, what comic book character would you like to see in a movie or?
See, I don't know if it'd be character. I think I'd want like certain arcs adapted. I'd love a World War Hulk. I'd love some of the Wolverine stuff from like the 70s and 80s. I'd love to see more Daredevil. My God, do more Daredevil. There are so many amazing Daredevil stories that you can. Oh, they haven't scratched the surface. I really want a Spider-Man Daredevil film.
If they bring back Punisher and they bring back John Bernthal and it's not R-rated,
please, if it's
and
not
it's not R-rated, if it's not R-rated,
I will lose my shit.
I will lose my shit. That's what made that movie and that show good. The movie sucked. The movie sucked. I'm sorry. They were garbage. The fucking show was fantastic. John Bernthal was the perfect Punisher. And
but I thought it was
they need to have
Daredevil first, right?
Well, that's the thing though. Daredevil was fantastic. Amazing. It was actually one of the top. It was top rated out of all of them. Defenders was garbage because what's his name who plays
Iron
fucking
Fist, man.
But okay, look. Iron Fist though. Iron Fist at the end, the cliffhanger at the end was fantastic. It started getting its stride, but then it just fell off, and then it was just shit. It was very slow though, and I did not like Danny Rand's character who they were casted. I hated him as Danny Rand. It was very whitewashed. It should have been. Right? It was very whitewashed, and it was very. He was whiny. He was a bitch. Danny Rand was not a bitch. He was not whiny. He was not. He was not like that in the comic books.
He learned martial arts as a disciplined.
He was literally the equivalent to Shang-Chi. They could battle it out, and they would always go stalemate in the comic books.
That's what's annoying about watching Shang-Chi is when I came out of Shang-Chi, I was like, that was one of my top 5 MCU movies.
I mean, it has a dragon. Anything with a dragon is good.
Yeah.
Confirmed.
I want Iron Fist to exist there, but I would fucking hate it to be Finn Jones. Iron Fist would work so well, but that's something I would want, right? I want Midnight Suns, I want Defenders, but I want it done well.
I just want Wong to become the drunken monk from the comic books and just start belly checking people. Can we have that happen? Like, I want him to be a drunken master and just get shit-faced because they're making him towards that. Like, literally just like, boom. Like, what was the character from Mortal Kombat? Was it Bo-Katan? No, Bo-Katan is Star Wars. Bo-Raicho. There we go. Yeah, look. I'm mixing up everything. My brain is like... But look, though. Like, all right, so I know you said yours, but I know mine.
Go for it.
Gambit and Nightcrawler.
Oh.
But you have those. They're just bad.
No, they have not been in a movie.
They have not had their own,
except Origins, and we don't talk about Origins.
Yeah,
the only thing that we talk about that is the assassination at the end of Deadpool 2, and that was the best part of Origins.
X-Men 2 has an amazing Nightcrawler sequence in the beginning, though.
Nightcrawler, but they changed him, and then they made him more of like. The Nightcrawler is such a dark character, but he's so good.
Fucking super. Yeah.
Well, when he's when he's in the White House, is that the one you're talking about?
Through the walls and stuff. Yeah. I mean, it was cool because we hadn't seen CG like that before either.
Yeah.
So
but now we watch it and we're like, man, that's fucking garbage. Like those original.
I can do that.
Hey, can we talk about Dark Phoenix? In every iteration too, can we get that arc but good?
Yeah,
because Dark Phoenix is fantastic.
Dark Phoenix wasn't good either.
Yeah, Dark Phoenix they fucking ruined. Twice.
Third attempt.
Yeah.
Was it twice or third? I don't even know.
So I will say this with regards to that. Yes, we need definitely some more extension. We need that Feige treatment on the X-Men.
Yep.
But that's coming, right?
And that's coming. It is evolving. It's coming, and I think it'll be great. In order for time, so I'm taking
Moon Knight,
and I promise. First of all, everybody, this is our first time doing this one in this style, and I'm randomly off the walls. We will have more structures. We come up with these shows later on in life, and we'll come up with themes.
Not really.
We'll have a whole, and we'll try and control ourselves. No. So we are.
Did you say lollipop? Oh,
right.
Go off the rail.
We're in so far. How far?
We are an hour in. An hour and 4 minutes. So yeah, we got about 10, 15 minutes, and then we'll get going.
Yeah, let's close this down. So the two things that we're going to talk about next, we're going to talk about Eternals, and we're going to talk about Spider-Man No Way Home. Here's the first thing I want to do. This is our official disclaimer. Everything coming up at this point in the show will include spoilers. If you have not seen Eternals, you can check it out now on HBO Max or
Disney Plus.
Disney Plus.
Or, no, Disney Plus. I'm sorry, not HBO Max. Fuck me.
This isn't DC. Get that
Disney
shit
Plus.
out of here.
And I would recommend checking that out when you can. You can find out where Spider-Man is playing at local theaters in your area before it heads over to Stars for its very first digital release. That'll be later on this year. For more information, simply just check your local
February 28th.
listings. February 28th. Check your local listings for where you can see it. Definitely see Spider-Man in theaters if you can. So if you've not seen either of these movies and you don't want spoilers, now would be the time to push pause, not stop, pause on our podcast. Go see the films and then come back, finish listening to it.
I don't even give a shit.
Conversation and comment.
Yeah.
You should have already watched
With
it.
that being said,
King Kong is in Spider-Man.
God damn you.
Twice.
Let's
Don't
start
talk
with
about my
Eternals.
third leg. Wait.
Eternals has an all-star cast. It is about well, it's basically, it borders right along the lines of it's basically the Olympians versus the Titans, and this is an entire concept storyline that's based on extreme Greek mythology. When you look at the way that it heralded in and the way that the story is told, it's interesting to see how many tie-ins and balances there are between other superheroes or features and elements that have been in other films and other universes. For example, when Hottie McNaughty Pants gets mistaken as Superman. Icarus gets.
There were so many DC call-outs in that movie. It was so surprising.
Well, here's the thing, right? So like even Icarus, like he looked like Superman.
Mm-hmm.
He was Superman.
He just looks pretty no matter what.
But Henry Cavill is amazing. I love him as a character. He's already talking about joining the MCU now because, and he actually was talking about this. He was talking about he wants to play Gambit as well, which would be interesting. I think he would be a good Gambit.
He's a bit big for Gambit.
He is big Gambit because he's Cajun.
Such a nerd though, and it's
he loves
perfect. He's such a goofy kid when it comes to nerd culture.
Yeah. Henry Cavill is fantastic, and that's the reason why I like him, because he is such a fan and he puts the passion into the characters.
I would love to get Henry Cavill on this show.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Never
Yeah, and
happen,
you don't say that. You never know. We're gonna be huge. You never said that. All right. So anyway, not as huge as Henry Cavill as Gambit. There we go. Look, I went full circle. All right. So here's the thing. Eternals, they did have a lot of reference to DC, and I've noticed that Marvel has been smacking around the DC a lot. They've been making references and being like, our character's better, yours sucks. This is how CG's supposed to look, not look like you have strings attached to your back and you're flying across the air going, wah! Every time you fucking battle, because that goddamn sequence with Wonder Woman, I literally want to slam my face into a goddamn table every time I hear that fucking thing. I love Gal Gadot. She's beautiful. She's amazing. She's an amazing activist. She does all kinds of cool stuff. But that goddamn... What are you, a pterodactyl? Get your shit together. You're a fucking Amazon lady. Use your whip.
Oh my God. Yeah. Also,
be the dominatrix you're supposed to be. You're supposed to literally be fucking crazy.
The whip of truth.
The whip of truth. Yes.
Whip it good.
Yeah, that would have been much better. Yeah, whip it real good. But then you just bring in the director from Guardians and throw it into, Wonder Woman. You got a good movie, I think. I have lost control. No, you haven't. It's fine.
No. All right. So let's talk about Eternals.
Oh, there you go. There's your intro. You ready?
James, you're up.
What, Eternals?
Yeah.
Oh, I loved Eternals, but I loved Eternals separately from. So when I walked out of Shang-Chi, I went, that was a fucking incredible MCU film.
Dragons.
But when I watched the Eternals, it lacked that Marvel sort of everything is one thing. But it gave me start of Black Knight, which I absolutely love. What
spoilers?
Yeah, I mean, we did that, right?
Well, it's true, we did.
I love Kingo. I loved I can't remember his fucking name, but the gay character with his husband. I thought that was a great scene.
Gilgamesh?
Gilgamesh.
Yeah,
I thought he was really interesting. Like his dynamic of I did something to the world that I fucking regret, and now I live alone. And I really liked their character.
Oh no, Gilgamesh was the heavy hitter. He was the heavy hitter.
Oh,
yeah.
The other one, the one who the techno.
Yeah, the one that builds
genius.
the rings and shit. Yeah. Which, by the way, I thought that was going to be a Shang-Chi reference, and it wasn't. It was weird. Anyway.
Yeah, I thought that too.
I felt like that was going to be a Shang, like that's where the rings came from, but whatever.
But I
don't
like
know that that's not where they came from.
Yeah, that's true. They did have eternal colors, so.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of. But okay, all right, look, this is my build-up. You ready? Because we're talking about it, the multiverse and everything else. I think they're going to make Galactus a Celestial, and he's going to be the one that comes back to destroy the Earth. And that's how they're going to introduce Silver Surfer and Fantastic Four. Boom, I put it here when it happens. You all pay me millions of dollars. Let's go.
Okay. Nobody agreed to that.
Well, you go suck yourself.
Right. Here we go.
That was impulse. I don't know why I said that. Oh, yeah, I did.
For me, when I say, when I ribbed, I get a little rib at the Eternals earlier. I liked it. I really did. And I was sitting there watching it, and I'm like, this is awesome how they're bringing it back to creation, and like the gods were myths, and you know, the Olympians were these myths, and then they were created by Celestials and all that stuff, and then we can talk about Thanos later and all that other shit. My issue was the stakes were so high, but they did not seem like they were so high. Like,
because they were gods. That's why.
But the Earth was at risk. There's something coming out of it, and it was just kind of like, but we don't like each other.
Look, I'm just gonna reenact the movie for you guys. You ready for this?
Sure.
Look. Here's Time It. Okay, I'm frozen.
Right?
That's the end. That's the villain. That's it. Yeah.
And
he had carpal tunnel on the way out.
What's interesting about Eternals than Eternals is what happens after, because once again,
it's a build up. It's a lead up.
We haven't seen a Phase 4 movie that was current time yet.
Yeah.
Other than Eternals, just like when Phase 3 ended and everything.
Well, Shang-Chi was,
but that
Shang-Chi was after.
That's true.
It was shortly after though. So Shang-Chi, Eternals, and then also too Hawkeye. Hawkeye was as well, and Spider-Man too.
Hawkeye took place at the same time. Yeah, almost like weeks apart.
Well, yeah. So Hawkeye was before.
Spider-Man
right?
Literally picks up right after Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, but there's like a 6-month gap when he's reading the letters.
So we're still not 2025, 2026 of MCU until Eternals. It happened after Endgame 2. Then we got all these backlog stories and stuff. I'm interested to see what happens now.
So you don't think that Galactus is going to come back as a Celestial? They're not going to go that route.
No, I 100% think he will.
Okay.
I think it
I thought you were disagreeing with Matt. I'm like, there's no way he's not going to.
No. I'm just explaining how I feel as a whole about Eternals. I think what's going to happen after the Eternals is more interesting than the Eternals.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because their whole marketing tagline is the MCU will never be the same. I believe that. I'm really curious to see it. I was like, I felt like those stakes were just too damn high.
Here's the thing,
wasn't communicated.
Here's the thing, though. That was a follow-up after the snap, right? Ooh, that was a nice snap. All right. So literally, it was a follow-up of the snap. And they literally even said 6 days emergence happens. And then they were talking about it. And then all the stuff happened in Eternals within like a week. That was like a week's time. All the fucking Eternals are like croaked and dead, except like 4 or 5. How many was left? 6 at the end of it? 5?
There's 6.
And Angelina Jolie is still mentally fucking all over the place. She was having the, what did they call it when she lost her memory and then they were overlapping?
It's mad weary.
Mad weary. Yeah, there you go. So she's having mad weary. She also lost her balance because Gilgamesh died. So you have all this stuff. Mad weary does sound like it's another strain of COVID. It's coming out. That's how you battle Time It. That's when you get the glove coming out, and that's actually your gynecologist or they're going in there to like check things out. That's Time It. That's the name of the doctor. Anyway, so So I digress. Yeah, look, you lost control again. Anyway, so what I was going to say, though, is that the Eternals, though, the build-up was very slow. It was very slow. It was cool. It had good animatics, a lot of bash at DC, comparing their better characters compared to, and the build-up of the dynamic between Cersei and Icarus. And then Icarus flying into the sun was definitely a Greek mythology reference, because Icarus flew too close to the sun and he died. And and here's the thing with MCU. Well, unless you see them die, they are not dead. And even now, when they die, even when they do die, well, they confirmed it. But here's the thing: with variants, they're never dead because they can bring them back in a different version.
Yeah. It's not even that though. The Celestials build them to a model. You can have a different Icarus. That doesn't have the our Icarus.
Right.
Who is.
Yeah, they even showed that when they went into the factory of all. They had multiple Cerseis, they had multiple Icaruses, and then even Aramis too. Like the build of him was very Galactus. So I think that they're going to basically, because they made Ego a Celestial and same dynamic. And you know, there's a lot of rumors about this too, that Thanos had the. That's the reason why he left, because he is technically still a Celestial and a deviant combined. So he had the same dream. He wanted to eliminate so you didn't have to take over a planet.
That's why Euros is interesting, right? His brother being there.
Yes.
Very interesting.
Which is Harry Styles.
So let me. I want to jump in on this one real quick. So first of all, I thought Slayman, which is the name of the character who plays Ben. That is Phastos' husband.
Yep.
Phastos.
Phastos, that's it. That's what I couldn't get.
So but it's interesting because can we talk about future stuff? Yeah, this is spoiler alert anyway.
Yeah. You're fine now.
It's interesting because while he's in love with Ben, like if I'm not mistaken, in the Eternals comic books, he has to leave him to rejoin the Eternals to take on the Deviants. Like and it's the most heartbreaking story. Like it's heartbreaking. It's awful.
They touched on that. And they kind of did.
They kind of did it a little bit, but it was very minor. And his son, his son, by the way, grows up to be a young Avenger.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
with
that's
his grandson talking with a soldier.
Yep.
And I want to say that I really enjoyed the way that Feige wrote it into the storylines with, you know, having an LGBTQ character, and you know, it's
and also a deaf
really
character.
For the character
And a deaf character also.
Yeah. It didn't.
But it all felt natural to the story, right? It all added to the character.
It didn't feel like we were being served, like we were being placated to. It wasn't like, hey, all right, now the gay kids get a character to love. It was
not at all.
It was treated as though it was simply just a commonplace and everyday appearance in an everyday situation that did not matter.
Yeah.
And it was okay. It wasn't focused on like, ooh, we've now got a gay superhero. No, it was
the only big deal about it was when it was in overseas and they took it out of Iraq and places like that because they don't believe in gay, anything gay related at all, anything in the LGBTQ. They're like they shun it and it's out because they don't believe in it.
Disney said we're not editing this.
Yeah, we're not editing it. We're keeping it in because it was part of their character build. If you didn't have it, it was stupid. It's like taking Superman's flight out. It would not make sense.
So I think what they did end up having to do was just remove the kiss. That was the only thing they removed. Everything else had to stay in. But they were able to. I don't even think they removed it. I think they left it in. They just said, "Fuck it, we don't care." The kiss was pulled in some Middle Eastern countries.
I think they just pulled the movie in general. I don't even think they allowed it because it was gay.
They did. They just pulled it. Right, they pulled the whole thing. But I thought one of the things that I loved about it, and I don't remember texting. I messaged both Cup and James about was like, what the fuck? Was when Eros is Thanos' brother, his younger brother, as you mentioned, played by Harry Styles of all people, who frankly,
or Star Fox.
He is the perfect Star Fox. Honestly, if I were to give him a pet name, I would call him Star Fox in bed.
You know what? You know what the funny thing about that is too is when my wife saw him on screen, she just goes, "Why the fuck is Harry Styles in the MCU?" I go, because she hasn't read any comic books like that. Her dad was a big comic book, but he was DC. You know, so she had no idea. She was like, "What?" You know, so it's crazy though and it's his half brother. Thanos
was
is
like
happy.
11
Great
o'clock at
boost
night.
gold.
Yeah, it was 11 o'clock at night. It was like 7 o'clock in the morning for James, and I'm texting him on fucking Facebook like, "Oh my God, Harry Styles! What the fuck?
Mhm.
What did I just watch?"
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting, you know. And the additional characters, like we've got the upcoming with Makari, we've got Druig, Elysius,
Black Knight, man.
the Forgotten One. I'm
Yep.
pretty sure Athena and Zeros will probably be rolling in along with Hercules and Ares. Like you've got.
I
all
was
these-
sad that they killed off Salma Hayek's character so quickly, though, because she was good. She was the base. She was the mother.
There's an
Ajax.
interesting thing about Ajax.
Because
There's
they didn't.
interesting stuff you
Because she was. Yeah, there was so much stuff they could have done with that. But
Well,
just
and they can go back and tell previous stories with her.
Yeah, well, that's true. They
Or-
can
like
go back,
origin
like in the
films, yeah.
Celestial. Yeah. So just to make sure that we keep this on track, because we are running out of time today. But no, it's fine, because I want to talk about Spider-Man as well. And Eternals. Just so you guys know, this is one thing for anybody who doesn't know. Athena is Thanos' cousin, and then Star Fox is half brother of Thanos. So that dynamic is going to be huge in the future. That whole, and not only that, for anybody who didn't catch it, they had Cersei's orb. He had Cersei's orb in his hand. That was confirmed. That was Cersei's orb. So when they were kidnapped by Aramis at the end, so that'll lead in. And then obviously one thing we didn't talk about, they also had, at the end of this movie, they also had the first Blade reference, and he talked in the background. Yeah, and he voiced it. So Blade is now in the MCU, which is cool.
If there was no COVID, I bet you any money you like,
He would have been in there. He would have been in there for a heartbeat. He was so excited to play the character. But I think we're gonna get that sooner than later. So
with Black Knight,
I know Black Knight is awesome with the ebony blade. So cool. Anyway, so Spider-Man. We have like 5 minutes to talk about Spider-Man, which sucks. But
all right,
let's go.
All right, I'm going to start this off and then just let everybody else go in their
Go.
thing. Here's the thing. One of the best MCU movies I think I've ever seen. It was absolutely tremendous when you start bringing in all the varying different characters. And what was so brilliant was the emotional tie-ins. And anybody who was a fan of the original Sam Raimi films with Tobey Maguire, when you look at the Amazing Spider-Man films with Andrew Garfield, and all of the links, all the nods to when Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man saves MJ, and you watch him just come apart and he falls to pieces.
The emotional break.
Like he himself, because like remember that the actors who played Gwen Stacy, that they ended up they were together forever after because they fell in love on that film. He just lost his shit regardless when they filmed it, and they nailed it on the first try. You look at how Tobey Maguire became so slightly embittered, and he's kind of becomes more of an angry person in general over the last several years, but seeing him be able to approach that, and the way that they approached the variance in how Spider-Man was portrayed when he sprays it right out of his wrist, and
they wigged out. Yeah, that was awesome.
Is that coming out of you?
How does that work? Does it come out? Like, yeah, that was great.
And then Tom Holland, does it come out of just there, or are there
come out of other places? Yeah.
Like just
and then the comic book reference with the old animated show where they pointed at each other. The point was huge.
Great.
The point was huge because that's been such a big meme forever, you know.
Oh yeah. I thought it was it was brilliantly done. I thought it was so well portrayed. I don't really want to give away, but okay, we already said they're going to
We already said spoilers. We don't give a shit anymore.
The way that they managed the death of varying different influential members in each of their different film series with May or Uncle Ben, but it all comes back to with great power comes great responsibility.
Yep.
And it's interesting the way that
they did it.
Bond them together.
Yeah.
While also not exploding the universe. Hey, if you find another version of yourself, you'll blow up. It's like going back in time. You know, but it was incredible, but also heartbreaking to watch the way that the Band-Aid on
ripping the Band-Aid
on MJ's head triggers that immediate recognition of you wouldn't have gotten hurt if it hadn't been for me, and I don't want to lose anyone else I care about, and I'm going to take a step back and figure this out and rethink this. And the other heartbreaking moment was the fact that Happy didn't recognize him.
Yeah, that was the saddest part, right next to the grave. Yeah, that was the hardest part. But honestly, the part that choked me up the most is when he decided that MJ was better off without him and Ned. And he went into that cafe, and he just looked at him, and then she goes,
just tears.
Just look, like literally, like I teared up, and it takes a lot for me to tear up like that, but it was such an emotional movie, and I was just like, wow. Like, honestly, like, we already knew William Dafoe and we already knew Jamie Foxx and all that was going to be in the movie because it was leaked, like, the day it happened.
Really,
like, everybody already knew that, like, what, in Switzerland, that they messed up that edit and you could see him getting kicked and you knew that they were in it, right? But even so, like, the end of that movie with Doctor Strange, and everybody immediately thought he was Mephisto. Like, they always go and think he's Mephisto, like right off the bat, and like, oh, he's changing things up, he's doing this, he's doing that, and like, there's all these things. Or what's the demon guy that everybody thought the bad guy was in WandaVision? I can never remember his damn name. That looks like a devil.
Mephisto.
It wasn't Mephisto. What, Mephisto? Okay, yeah. So anyway, okay, I said it right. I just wanted to make sure I was referencing myself. I'm a little sleep deprived today, but anyway. So, but yeah, that whole reference and the build out and Ned opening a portal and bringing in that, is he going to be a bad guy? Is he going to be a bad guy? Because because you know they had that whole turn of events where they were like, you know, I promise I won't betray you, but now he doesn't remember him, but he now has magic.
Is Hobgoblin in the comics?
Yeah, Ned becomes Hobgoblin, and basically also too, the biggest reference for me was the lead-in for Fantastic Four, because when William Dafoe says he goes back to his old building and somebody else was in it, that building now was already Tower, Avengers Tower was bought later in the comic books by Mr. Fantastic.
Yep.
So a lot of people
alluded to in the last Spider-Man.
It was because at the end when he was swinging around and he went up on the pole, you could see the garden and you could see the building, but they didn't have it on the building because they didn't even announce it yet. They didn't. Yeah, it was the Baxter Building, right? That's what it's called, right? Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So with that being said, there's a bunch of stuff about this movie. There were so many cool things. The lead-in, the variants when the ripples opened up and it showed all the villains and it showed the classic Rhino and Kraven, Rhino, and there was even people have gone back and watched it numerous times, froze it. There's so many villains silhouettes that it could be. The original Scorpion was in it, like the actual OG Scorpion, Chameleon. Yeah, there was all these references, and then also people are saying now too that they saw like other heroes, and you know we won't know, but the Multiverse of Madness, like everything that is going to be the introduction of X-Men. I'm going to say this right now, if they do not introduce the X-Men in the Multiverse of Madness, because we're going to have Sanchez in it, which is awesome, and Sanchez is such a huge character to bring in. And for anybody who doesn't know, America Chavez. Yeah, sorry, I don't know why I said Sanchez. America Chavez, but that is a different character actually too. But besides the point, there's so many, dude. It's hard to keep track. But American Chavez is such a huge character because that's basically Captain America, but from her reality or her multiverse.
She can create portals in the multiverse.
She can create portals. She can create portals, but she's actually like it. She's not a super soldier. She's like fucking an actual. She's like Captain Marvel.
Yeah, she's insane. She was meant to be in this movie.
She was, and she was pulled out last minute because of COVID. Yep. So with all that, there's a lot going on. There's a lot. If you guys haven't seen it, go fucking see it. We can talk about this like for a whole episode in itself because there was so many spoilers.
I want Cup to go next because there's a reason why I want James to go last. Cup, you're
all right. What I liked was obviously all the tie-ins and everything were great, and you had to have been a 22-year fan of these character and all these movies to get the ultimate payoff that this movie was providing. So that was great. It
was definitely fan made. This was all about the fans.
The costume change.
Yeah, it was huge.
The comic colors.
Yep, comic really and not cool. Tony Stark.
And it was it was resetting it, and it was almost we finally got Tom Holland's
real Spider-Man. Yep.
Yeah,
like he got because they never did an origin. Yeah. They never did an origin story
with him.
Yeah, because they're smart.
They're not Batman.
Their fans are idiots.
They don't want to make a Batman movie.
But
or a Superman movie.
Tom Holland's Spider-Man was always different. because he was always a little bit more happy-go-lucky. It was always that, and that was accentuated in this movie. And then we see where he gets to that brooding point where the other two have been.
Yeah.
And it resets it like that.
And it also builds up for the Sinister Six too.
And it, but my only issue is that did they do all of this as an opportunity because Holland's contract was up and they could not possibly get Sony to agree to let him use Spider-Man anymore? Like, it was a very convenient way for him to just fuck off.
Well, here's the thing. There's to just jump in really quick, and then we'll go in. So, Miles Morales, which is my favorite Spider-Man, by the way. Miles Morales is my favorite Spider-Man because the growing up in the hood and like the nurse mom, the doctor mom, depending on which comic book version, and then his dad was a cop, all the tie-in, the lead-in to Kingpin, everything else that's involved with Miles Morales is huge for the build-up. Miles Morales is coming to the MCU. It is happening sooner than later because even Jamie Foxx, in that moment, he goes, I thought he was going to be black. You know, those moments, and I'm really excited for it because Miles Morales is the best Spider-Man in my opinion. Like, I love it. Other than Spider-Gwen and also Silk. Silk has an amazing story too, but that's a whole nother thing. And Silk, but here's the thing. Even if they wrote out Tom Holland, they could bring in anybody now because of the MCU and the multiverse. They could bring in, and they've already confirmed that Andrew Garfield is coming back again. They've already confirmed that Tobey Maguire wants to come back, and I think that dynamic between the three is amazing, and they need to keep that going. They loved it, and the fact that they kept it, and Andrew was the most underrated Spider-Man. I still loved him. And he got his chance to shine. And with the Gwen Stacy drop and the save of MJ was definitely that full circle moment. So, yeah, it was really us. It was heartbreaking. And just to see his eyes tear up. And then even Tobey Maguire stopping Tom from going full on bad guy and stopping the shield, that reminiscence of the very first Spider-Man movie. That was huge.
Yeah.
Like, it was such a good, huge moment. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff in that for anybody who didn't see. And then Daredevil. Let's talk about Daredevil. Fuck. Yeah. And Venom.
And they had the right Daredevil too. They kept him.
Yep, they kept Charlie Cox.
Actor. Oh God, he's so good at it. He's so good at it. So I want to out. So James, you're up, and I want to out you for a second because this motherfucker saw this goddamn film 2 days before it released from theaters.
Yeah.
And
that's it.
And
that's
Neil,
it.
Right? Stamp that bitch out. Let's go.
Fuck yo.
And was gonna give us. He's gonna be able to
fake spoilers.
Yeah. He's.
Oh my god, dude! He gave me a heart attack.
He was giving me fucking all sorts of negative, all sorts of dumb shit.
Oh.
So I'll let you go, and then I want you to bring up, because it had already been mentioned about the Tom Holland thing, and I want you to talk about the contracts and stuff.
Oh, they've offered him the deal of a lifetime now.
Yeah,
like they have.
Was it 6 new movies or 3?
It's all a contract. It's 3 more, and yeah, 100. This whole thing of the whole I might not is contract negotiation 101.
Yeah.
Like he's
he wanted to continue.
Yeah. Amy Pascal confirmed another trilogy by accident like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I saw that. Yep.
Like, she's an idiot. Like she shouldn't have said it.
Yeah. He became the new Tom Holland of the Star Wars universe.
Right, But like, so I'll start with what I've said to everyone about this movie. It's not the best movie ever made, but it's by damn sure my favorite movie ever made.
My favorite, absolutely.
It's in the top 5.
There are holes in this
it's
film.
In the top 5.
There are bits that are wrong, but like I opened this show saying how I got into comics, and the first thing was Raimi's Spider-Man.
Yep.
Like, as a kid. So my dad took me to see the second movie. He pulled me out of school, told me I had a dentist appointment, and we saw Spider-Man 2.
That's awesome.
Okay, that's
so for this one, I took my dad 20 years later to see this one.
Yeah,
and that's
awesome.
such a poetic thing for me to see Alfred Molina's Dr. Octopus as an adult with my dad next to me. We were watching it. It's in the cinema, and when Toby got stabbed, my dad shouted, "Oh fuck!" Oh, I'm sorry. Leaned forward and apologized to these children.
Oh no!
But that thing, that dynamic of these stories meaning something to people. There has not been a moment in my life with a movie, apart from maybe Endgame, where I felt like something hit me so hard than the three of them running and swinging together.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that was so cool.
Well, you know,
each in their own style. Each in their own style. None of them ever swung the same.
Yeah,
No,
yeah, they were definitely all their unique style from the movies, the way they moved and went around. Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, honestly, like, you know, and like I said, we can talk about this more in the next podcast too, because we're going to be doing a lot of these together. I really like these conversations. I think they're really cool because we have so many different opinions of stuff, and I think that'll bring in so many different people in to come in and give their input. And you know what? Like, there's always going to be toxic people. There's always going to be people out there. But you know what? We're not here for that. We're here to voice our opinions, and hopefully you enjoy the content and enjoy everything here on the Pardon the D, because we talk about everything. We talk about comic books, music, movies, entertainment of all genre. We didn't even talk about Moon Knight, but we can talk about that next time anyway, because that whole thing is amazing too, and that is going to be a really interesting show. A lot of people are not going to be ready for it. And I think leading into the next show, we definitely have more to talk about. And unfortunately, I think that we need to cut off now, because if we don't, we're going to go for the next 3 days. So, but we can talk more about Spider-Man, the influence on it next time. We'll actually have some legitimate topics. Again, make sure you guys put all of your comments and everything down below too, so we can pull from that and actually talk about it on the show. We want you guys to be involved with it. You know, at the end of the day, like I said, this is all about fan base, our love for comic books, our love for movies. And, you know, I think DJ is going to learn a lot more too as we go too. But, you know, less... how
to be Lex Luthor?
Yeah.
Wait, there you go.
Hey, look, three Lex Luthors and a Gen Zer will bring the next next podcast straight to you. Yeah.
You're all variants of Lex Luthor.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Pretty much, yeah.
True.
Except I got the best beard.
So, Cup of Robots, where can people find you?
Oh, people can find me at twitch.tv/CupofRobots 3 days a week. And I think that's the only place I am right now. Yeah.
And of course on Twitter or Instagram or TikTok.
Yeah, Twitter, Instagram. I'm Cup of Robots on all social media. Google Cup of Robots.
Nice. And we'll put his links down below too.
Everything.
As well. Yes.
Absolutely. Kickassjamas, where can people find you?
Twitter mainly, where I talk about all of this shit for hours. Like, it's just at Kickassjamas. I just talk
He's
about
the reason why we have bad commenters.
Kickassjamas.
He's the leader of the Reddit thread.
I'm feeding the Reddits.
Yeah.
I talk about movies all the time, and we're about to launch a podcast network very soon. That'll all be on my Twitters, where I'll talk about the movie I'm writing, writing process. My girlfriend will do a photography one and cinematography.
Are we allowed to talk about that?
That's going to be very artsy if you're into
Yeah, did you just spoil it like Tom Holland? Like, what's happening right now? I don't think you were supposed to talk about that yet.
Movie?
Yeah.
We said you were making a
No,
movie.
you didn't. You're ruining everything. You're ruining Tom Holland. Calm down. You're showing your age, sir.
Yes, we have.
James and I are talking.
It's in my Twitter bio.
Yeah. James and I are making a movie together. So
in his Twitter bio.
Yeah, we're writing a film together, which is interesting.
Yeah.
It's in my Twitter bio.
I know.
Filmmaker.
It's fine. It's fine.
Sure. Drake, where can everyone find you, sir?
Everywhere. The Lost Drake across the board, Hover, TikTok, YouTube, across everything. I just started a brand new segment on the TWAB for Destiny. So each week you can get all your up-to-date Destiny information. And so far it's been really good. We just broke 500 subs over there. So that's brand new. And then we're obviously doing the Pardon the Distraction with me and DJ each and every week with new guests. And obviously these two amazing gentlemen. And we're going to be doing that all the time. But I mainly live stream on Twitch, and I stream Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time to midnight every single day except the other days that I said I didn't stream on.
Nailed it.
There you go.
Nailed it.
And you can find me across the board at all things at DJBLUEPDX, and you can find Pardon the Distraction across all your major podcast outlets, including our website at PardontheDistraction.com, or go to our YouTube at
youtube.com/c/that.
Yeah, C/Pardon the Distraction.
Nailed it.
Or Pardon the D on Twitter.
Pardon the D on all social media except here. We're Pardon the Distraction.
Yeah. And we'll be back every month with this segment featuring our special guest, Cup of Robots and Kickassjamas. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, listen, share with your friends, throw it in your Discords, let people listen. Make sure you drop some comments. And we'll do our best to interact with you as much as possible when
Yes.
when I'm not busy shaving my head.
And if you don't want to watch, you can listen on all YouTube thingies.
Yes, and too bad that we didn't
Or
actually do this
podcast
live, so we're
thing.
going to give away a car.
Yes,
That's
Yeah,
all the above.
we
Sorry,
totally would have given away a car.
I'm giving a year's supply of Sour Patch Kids. Sorry, it's not live. The end.
There you go.
Yeah. One in
Thanks for
chat.
watching, everybody.
One in
We'll
chat
see you
to win?
next time. We'll see you next time live right here on Pardon the Distraction.
Peace.